Hey guys, how's it going? This is Michael.
This is Kyle.
And this is our review on the Apple Keynote Worldwide Developer Conference that just happened. 2016. Just happened. We're going to sum up everything you need to know and probably tell you about stuff that you don't really need to know.
No, there's lots of stuff that you don't really need to know that came out of this. But I will say, as far as WWDCs go, this one had a lot of information.
Oh, it had a ton. It had 5 pages worth.
Especially given that there were no major hardware announcements. This was an all-software WWDC, which is, I think, a first.
Yeah, usually they do have some type of a hardware. Usually they do let you know that there's going to be some type of hardware. But this time they didn't.
Like last year, we got a Mac update. We got, new Type-C connector thing last year at the WWDC. So lots of stuff. But this year, only software.
Cool. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so first, Tim Cook came out. He gave us a bunch of information like he always does, but we will get into exactly what the new things are. So the first thing he talked about was the Watch OS.
The Watch OS.
So
ding, ding, ding. Well, this isn't a Watch OS.
It's not.
This is a Fitbit Blaze.
So you have Fitbit.
I do.
But the goal is to have an Apple Watch, right?
Not so much.
We'll find out if today they changed your mind and you might want to get an Apple Watch instead. But here we go.
We'll find that out.
Watch OS. Here are the major highlights from it. New instant launch applications.
Yes.
Lightning fast. 7 seconds. They said 7 times faster. The control center, just like in your phone, you swipe up, you have a control center. Side button docks, so now you can go through all the docking stations. There's new watch faces. There's a scribble function where you can write out letters and then it turns into text. Emergency calling, SOS, you call out the SOS, and whatever the local department is, no matter where you are around the world, it will call the emergency center for you. Yep. There's a new fitness app that, for the Rings, remember the Rings app, the activity app, they now have competitions. You can maybe competition with your friends and check out their rings. Yep. There's a wheelchair function. For wheelchairs.
For people in wheelchairs. Not for wheelchairs. For people in wheelchairs.
That's a good point. There's also an app called Breathe to help relieve stress and keep your heart rate down. And then the big one is enables third-party Apple Pay and third-party Siri support. So, out of all the Watch OS, what grabbed your attention? What didn't grab your attention? Have you been convinced now to look into getting an Apple Watch?
Okay, I have a few problems myself with the Apple Watch. One, I don't need an extra phone on my wrist. That's my main thing. I don't need my wrist to have all the capabilities that my phone has.
To be fair, I think that's more of a side function to it being a fitness tracker more than it is
I don't know if they came out with it as an accessory, and then the fitness tracker part seemed like an afterthought, and then they're like, wait, the fitness tracking part of it is really taken off. We should cater it more toward fitness tracking. I felt like when it first came out, it was an accessory. It was supposed to replace the luxury watch. That's what it was meant. That's what it was designed for.
Okay, yeah.
And then
the $10,000 gold edition.
Exactly. You're walking around. I got $10K on my pocket, or on my wrist.
What's really funny is the watch really started out as like a complete like luxury item, and they could say like, oh, you have that version. That's how much you spent on it. Like it's like a telling thing.
For sure. It was a status. It was a status. It was class.
It was complete status.
To me, honestly, okay, so we have the instant app loading for development. That's actually fairly big because I do dabble in iOS development myself. I use Swift and Objective-C to be able to have instant feedback for apps that you create, which is what they are presenting here. Is really awesome, right? Because in my current process, whenever I write an app and I want to download it to my local phone, my local machine, it takes about a minute or two to go through. You have to export it, and then it has to go read and go through, and then it gets onto the phone, and the phone has to wait for a bit, and then it opens up, and then that takes a while, and then your stuff loads.
So this is optimized code to increase the launch
time. That is basically what and actually that's really helpful because it is really annoying. They were saying that it's 7 times faster. It showed how quickly the apps loaded.
You touched it. They showed you touched it and it just opened straight to
exactly.
the app.
But before that, they also showed you touched it and then it waits a bit. And like as a developer,
for the first model, I'm sorry, the OS2
for the old way,
the OS2. This is the OS3.
But as a developer, like that's like precious time. Like I just took hours and hours making this app, and this like I want to see it now. Like I don't want to wait 10 seconds for it to
instant
load.
gratification.
Exactly.
From your
so
apps.
that's actually pretty big. My biggest takeaway from what they presented, honestly, I really like the SOS. like the automatic call. That
Really?
was my Oh yeah.
Do you get in trouble like that all the time?
No, I don't. But I'm a big guy on preparing doomsday stuff. Not that satellites.
You should see the trunk of his car. Like the zombie
if we ever have a zombie
stuff.
apocalypse, like my car is the place to be, guys. Come on over. The SOS. You press the SOS. It automatically calls 911.
Yep.
It automatically messages your emergency contact saying, "Hey, I need help."
Right.
It automatically sends your location. And then your web ID or your medical ID automatically pops up. And if you're in a different country or in a different location, it will go ahead and call whatever the local number is. And I would travel to Europe a couple of years ago, and I didn't have any instances where I needed to call 911. But if I did, I didn't know what number to call because I every day I was in a different country, and every day they have. So honestly, that's very practical and very usable. I really
And something
enjoy
your
that they put
Fitbit
that.
can't do.
And something that my Fitbit can't do. But getting to something that my Fitbit does
well.
very well, and something that it has done for a long time, and something that I don't understand why it took so long for this to come out, is the activity sharing for the watch, for the iOS.
Yeah.
Like, why did that take so long to come out? Of course you want to see your friends.
Yeah.
That's the huge part. That's the social aspect of the fitness, of the whole fitness.
Yeah.
Fitbit has made a living based off compare your stuff with your friend's stuff.
Right.
So why did it take so long for iOS watch to come out?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's right. But, I mean, you're talking about the watch came out a year ago, right? So last April, March-ish or somewhere around there.
But that should have been launch date, man. That's huge. Fitbit came out. I remember getting a Fitbit, little Fitbit Flex like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it automatically had that feature.
Okay. I mean,
so that should have rolled out from the start.
But a year of input and a year of user data and, you know, and all that kind of things, you say, like, this is what I want. And you can't roll. This is like when Apple got rid of Google Maps and went to their own map section. It's not going to be as good out the gate as Google Maps was, because they had years of data collection and everything. And now Apple Maps is right on par, I would say, with Google Maps because of the years of data collection and everything. So, yeah, I mean, I get that maybe there should have been some foresight in the competition.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's here now, okay? It's here now, and after a year, we have it.
It's here now. Okay, was there anything else you wanted to mention with the watchOS?
So for me, and this isn't just watchOS, but this is with all of them, is that they did mention during the watchOS presentation, though, that there is third-party Siri support. Yeah. So now your third-party Siri apps, or your third-party apps will include Siri. So
and that's going to be
Siri
huge.
Now it's the things Siri are going to be able to do is just going to be ridiculous.
And we're going to get to that. That's a huge part of the upcoming platforms that we were talking about. Okay, the next up is the tvOS.
Okay, so tvOS, we know that last year, finally after 5 years or 4 years, I think since 2012, they finally gave us an iteration of the new Apple TV. It's bigger, it has more processing power. I believe it has an A9 chip. Something. It has a more powerful processor, and it has a new remote, the Siri remote, right? So you have the touch and you have everything. So here's what they updated. They had Siri updates today for the tvOS. They had the single sign-on, which to me is one of the bigger things.
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
it takes you sign into HBO, you sign into whatever. You have to go through this process of making sure you know to confirm everything.
Definitely.
It has a dark mode in case you're at night, so you don't have the white. Okay. You know,
next.
There's more developer tools for it. Like we said, Siri and others and other things. Yeah. You could get app notifications on your tvOS now.
Okay.
And they are making an iPhone TV Siri remote.
Okay.
So
see, and that's one of the cool. That was the highlight for me. That was the takeaway for me, is that they're going to integrate the remote onto as an app. Is it an app, or is it just like kind of like Apple Play where it's already there? But it's a remote on your iPhone, so you can actually use the TV.
We have the one for our Apple TV that we do.
But is it going to be integrated into? Oh, so it's that but updated.
It's that but updated with the Siri
Siri technology.
That's
cool. That's really cool. I mean, using your phone. I mean, we already have the phones. You have it already talks to each other. Why not have that control?
Yeah.
That was a good feature. I enjoyed that. I did notice that they did add a few more apps to it. The Fox Sports was a good one. 4 sports at the same time. Basically, that's like your NFL highlight zone, isn't it? Like, so that's really cool. That's added to Apple TV. Also, you can play full-fledged games from it. NBA 2K, Minecraft. They also had you could do Scribble on it as well, so you could do like Pictionary.
They've also included support now for 4 Siri remote or 4 game remotes or 4 Siri remotes to play 4 players on it now. So which is really interesting because there was a lot of talk about Apple getting to the game console market, but is this their introduction into the game console market? Is the App Store?
I'm gonna go ahead, before we move on to the next one, I'm gonna go ahead and do an aside. The TV OS, if they can perfect they can get rid of, if they can partner up with Comcast or DirecTV or wherever else, then they monopolize the market.
Okay, so this is a thing that they've been trying to do their own television service be a television service provider, which would essentially eliminate the cables and the DirecTVs and that kind of thing. Yeah. So if and that's been in the works for years, and they've been getting deals and everything done, but it's not ready to be in the forefront. But they will be a TV
and if
provider.
That happens, you can kiss all those all those Comcast, all this stuff's going to go away. I honestly think, and there's the Microsoft presentation, but I think the Xbox One has the capability to be doing that too. It should be doing that. Yeah. It should be taking over that realm. Comcast, DirecTV, all those other ones, those are the big ones here. But why are they still around? We got so much more technology. That's old. That's old news. You can stream it straight from your Apple TV or your Microsoft Xbox One or your PS4. Like, honestly, that stuff is vestigial at this point.
But you know that there's a lot of bandwidth problem in the United States specifically.
Yeah, definitely. But honestly, we can move on to the next iteration of that and start putting this Xfinity thing out of business.
The next iteration is streaming online to your Apple TV. Okay.
All right. What's the next one here?
So we have the Mac OS. Now this
OS X.
So this was
formerly
OS
known
X.
as OS X.
So
that was one of the big things here. They changed it from OS X to Mac OS.
I know that's one of the big things, but that's
was a name changer. It was and it's not a game changer. It was a name changer.
So, but yes, they changed it to Mac OS instead of OS X, which makes a whole lot more sense with the rest of their lineup. But so here were some of the highlights for the Mac OS. For all you Mac users out here, here's what you're looking for: continued continuity. They had this really cool thing where if you're wearing your Apple Watch and you're going to your computer screen, you open up your computer screen and you're already logged in because it's in proximity to your Apple Watch, so you're already logged in because it knows who you are. So you don't have passwords and stuff. You have iCloud Drive, upgraded iCloud Drive. You have optimized storage. You have the Apple Pay online that they can start doing where you confirm on your phone and you pay online. Mm-hmm. You have tabs over everything they have now. So you could tab anything. It's not just Safari or Chrome or whatever you use. You can tab anything you want, which I actually think is really cool. They have a picture-in-picture option now where you can take just the video of whatever you're watching online or whatever and just minimize it and keep it on your screen at all time. And the big one, and this is what they were projecting with last year, which should have happened last year, and they didn't. They're finally integrating Siri into the Mac OS.
Into the Mac. That's huge.
Okay, thoughts on that?
That's a big one. That the Siri on the Mac, that's a game changer. Now, honestly, I have a Mac Mini that I use for my coding. It doesn't have a microphone, so I guess I'm gonna have to go out and buy a microphone for this.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go buy a microphone. But to have Siri on my Mac, like, that's huge.
Oh yeah,
Siri, I use Siri every day on my phone.
Right.
Hey, take me to work. Find Starbucks. Find whatever. Blah blah blah.
You have to have Siri take you to work every day.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Can you not memorize it at some point?
You know what? I have.
There's so much knowledge in my brain that I can't.
I've go ahead and compartmentalize that information. I don't need that information before. I got my phone doing that for me, so I can use that for other stuff. Like remembering what happens at the Apple conference instead of trying to remember what my directions to work are. That was a big one. Siri on the Mac. That's huge. That was projected last year. Didn't happen. I'm excited for it this time. The quick word search that's going to be, hey Siri, find a picture of blah blah blah, and then it'll post it up on the clipboard there. That the universal clipboard is a big one too.
That was really cool.
Post on the clipboard, you can drag it and then copy it.
That's the thing is and it's under continuity, but there's more talking between your devices. Which I own an iPad, a MacBook. And an iPhone, and I'm constantly in an Apple TV, and I'm constantly going back and forth through all of them. So the continuity, the clipboard, being able to copy on my phone but paste it somewhere else on one of my other devices, that's a big thing. Yeah. But the one I like the most is the optimized storage, and I know that sounds weird, but I edit all these videos on my MacBook, right? And that eats going through After Effects and then going through Premiere Pro. Like, it eats a lot of storage and render files and everything. Yeah. And so when they showed the demonstration of you only have 20 gigabytes left on your thing, let me turn on the optimized storage button, and click on that. So
it gets rid of stuff that you haven't used in a while.
Stuff you haven't used, but also saves things to your iCloud account. Okay. So that way you free up actual room, other room on there. And to turn 20 gigabytes of free space into 150 gigabytes of free space is a big deal, especially for me and all the video editing that I do. But that one, and obviously Siri.
Yeah, adding Siri to it, that's huge. Again, to me, the biggest thing for the Mac OS presentation was the universal clipboard. Save something, copy something on your phone, easily get it on your computer. That's huge. That doesn't sound like it's, that monumental or that, easy convenience-wise. But if you find something on your phone, like somebody sends you a text of, some type of article or something that you want to research for later, you can just copy the link, paste it, and then instead of having to, because formerly I've had to email myself or even possibly message it to myself when it's on my phone, but to just copy it and then go to my clipboard and paste it, like that takes the middleman right out of the picture. So that was a good one. And then obviously Siri being on the phone, being on the Mac too, I can definitely see myself using that in the future as well. So good job on the Mac OS. I enjoy. I love
the Mac OS updates. Okay, and now moving on to the iOS.
Yes.
So there were some, I think, out of everything.
iOS X, because we're on 10 now. So iOS X, right? iOS X. So it's like X. iOS X is like Mac X.
That's literally taking a step back after you just named something Mac OS and not OS X.
I know, and then you're going to go to iOS X, and then you're still going to get, because they did this nice little linear.
They called it 10. They called it 10. It's iOS 10.
Okay, fine. iOS 10.
So iOS 10. So we have some new features on iOS 10.
Yeah, go ahead and list them all, and then we'll talk about them.
There's an all-new lock screen.
Yes.
Lots of different lock screen functionality, which I have a problem with that, and we'll get into that later. Okay. Just remind me I have a problem with that. Okay. Siri updates. Siri's functionality is completely expanded. Yep. There's new QuickType enhancements, very much smarter QuickTypes. Yep. There's an all-new Photos app. There's an all-new Maps app. There's revamped Apple Music. I don't use Apple Music. I don't know if you do.
No.
Okay, yeah,
I have issues. I'm thoroughly unimpressed with Apple Music.
Okay,
we'll get into that in a second.
Then there's updates to the News app.
Yes.
You use the News app?
I do use the News app quite frequently, actually.
Okay, I don't use it as much as you do, but I would push. They do have push notifications now from the News app, which I think is really kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's almost like the Amber Alert. So if something happens, you can tell and then it's like Amber Alerts go across the screen every platform. It's basically to that level. Almost.
I actually like getting my gaming and sports news pushed to my screen, which would be really cool. And then there's the all new Home app.
Yeah,
which is really cool. They got rid of HomeKit, made it the Home app. And then there's phone call and voicemail updates. So voicemail, when you have a voicemail, it'll now transcribe it into actual words that you can read
it instead of having to listen to it, which is useful. I know a lot of people. I don't particularly mind listening to voicemails. I don't care to listen. I don't mind listening to voicemails, but I know a lot of people that hate getting voicemails.
But
they would much rather read it.
I'm sure there are times you're at a movie, or maybe not a movie. Don't take your phone out during the movie. But if you're like in class or you're at work or something, you can't listen to a voicemail.
That's pretty good.
You could read it on your Apple Watch. See, that's another functionality for Apple Watch. And then finally, a whole slew of message updates of iMessage updates. And we'll get into that separately, but go ahead. Where do you want to start first?
Well, first I wanted to go ahead and start off with Siri, getting into that. So a big announcement they had today was that Siri is now open for iOS development.
Yeah.
That is huge. That is a game changer. Opening up, it might not mean much to you guys. Yeah, exactly. For third-party apps. It might not mean as much to you guys, but that is huge. And being able to incorporate Siri into any app that you build, that is huge. That includes search engine optimization. That includes where I want you to go. So if I want you to put something on if you're looking something up, I can direct you to certain results, and that's huge. You're able to manipulate and use the actual input from the user. Anytime you can use more input from the user, that will go ahead and optimize your app. And so anytime you can go ahead and do that by using Siri, there's no better optimization tool than using Siri.
Right. No, absolutely. And just think about all the apps you actually use now, even if it's game apps or sports apps or fitness apps or whatever you use. Imagine Siri integration into all of those apps.
A good example of that is using maps. I will go ahead and ask Siri, take me to Starbucks, and then it will go ahead and take me to Starbucks automatically. So if you can have that app for...
It does do that already.
Well, I'm saying that's... excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Well, that's the type of optimization we're talking about here. So imagine that ability, but being into any of your apps. So go ahead. What's the news? So if you have like TED Talks or something like that.
Right.
Hey, show me a TED Talk about this subject or whatever, and it go ahead and puts all the searches that you want right there in front of you, and it's a great tool to use. So very happy that they opened up Siri for development.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
QuickType was really good too. Go ahead and smarter suggestions. Somebody asks you in an email, hey, what is John's email address? And then automatically a QuickType will come up.
Take a look at that, yeah.
It'll read those words and be like, hey, do you want to send John's email? So that's pretty cool, like nice and like little nifty. Photos was something that was huge. That came up. Did you not? Do you recall the photo, the whole movies, the epic movies and all that stuff? Okay, you might not think that's.
I need more control.
I think that's really cool.
I need an actual.
Because you're an
Pro.
actual film editor, so you use Adobe for that type of stuff. I don't like to get into all those. That's a huge bush of weeds that I don't want to get into. So if I can go ahead, because I take videos and take pictures.
Saying, bush of weeds.
Yeah, that's a huge common saying. I don't know what you're talking about. I use a photo. I take pictures all the time. I take videos all the time, and I always forget about them and don't remember them of trips that I take. So if I can have an album, go ahead and be like, hey, this is your trip to Tahoe. Would you like to view a 20-second video? And then it go ahead and edits the photos from there and the videos from there. And then it also does like time lapse and slow motion and all that stuff. And it gets into, I'm like, how does it do this stuff? But I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, yeah, that's I could see how that's cool to like people who don't edit videos and everything and just want like a collage on their photos. Sure,
just like a summary of your weekend or something like that. Another one, finally, Maps is getting freaking traffic on route. Holy jeez.
Yeah.
God, it's about time.
Well, it's had the red dots and the orange dots.
See, but I haven't had that
in the overview mode.
Yeah, but I've been using it, so I don't know, because you might have had to enable that. But when I go to Maps, take me to work or something like that, it doesn't show me the actual Apple Maps doesn't show me the traffic on route.
Right.
Google Maps does, Waze does, and a couple other mappings do. But this Maps never has.
So I'm saying, well, Apple Maps will keep getting better and better the more information, the more technology they acquire for traffic information, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing that was really cool was that it would show you alternate routes and the reason why you would save time on that alternate route.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that was really cool. But I went to the Giants game, the San Francisco Giants game the other day, and it listed on route like there was a red spot on my maps already.
Are you using Google Maps or using Apple Maps?
Apple Maps.
You're using Apple, the one that came with the phone.
Yes. I had Siri just give it to me, and it said there was an accident.
Maybe I just need to update it or something, because mine never has, and that always gets me so mad. So I end up using Google Maps.
I was so impressed because it told me that there was a car accident at Berkeley, and it said it happened at this time. It'll probably be cleaned up at this time, but expect slowdown. Yeah. And I don't know. I thought that was really cool.
One cool thing is I'll just go ahead and make a prediction for the future. It said that your maps will go ahead and integrate with your car, right? So you have CarPlay.
Right.
One thing that they have not opened that I've seen, that they've opened up iOS Watch, they've opened up obviously iOS X and Mac OS to developers, but as far as I've seen, they haven't opened up CarPlay to developers. So adding apps to your CarPlay is something I haven't seen. So hopefully they would do something like that in the future. Maybe like a texting free or a hands-free app that you can have big letters.
I don't use CarPlay, so I wouldn't know exactly.
I don't use CarPlay either, but from what I've seen, they don't have. They might, but I don't think I've seen that they have CarPlay.
Maybe now that everything's open to third-party developers, maybe now.
Maybe, perhaps. Moving on to music. I hate it. I love the older way of it. All this crap that's on there. I have like 2,000 songs on my phone. I have to go through like 20 different button clicks in order to get to any song that I want to listen to. It's really annoying. The way they have it set up. Oh, we have this suggestion and blah 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 blah. Okay, I like my music. I have my music on my phone. Why don't you do anything for my phone? Like add Pandora to your Apple Music. Fine, whatever. I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to my music. And so they don't really have anything that will I want an algorithm that will search all through my music and will suggest music to me. Hey, you used to listen to this a lot, but you don't listen to this anymore. How about you listen to this one?
I must say, during the Apple Music demo, I sort of checked out. Like I wasn't interested in it at all.
Not at all. Neither was I. And the lady that was doing it was very upbeat and like fancy.
Yeah, she was into it.
But it lost
me.
It didn't grab my attention. This is a worldwide developers conference, and I'm not really. I'm into the development part of it, and I wasn't really into the all the bells and whistles that they were showing off.
Right.
And then we got down to the news was really cool. Breaking news notifications. We talked about that HomeKit. My favorite thing about the HomeKit. I wish I was rich enough to install wireless stuff all throughout my house.
We do have wireless air conditioning actually that we could.
That's probably true. Actually,
we could integrate to the app.
My favorite thing that they had was create themes. The themes was basically like a playlist, but for all your stuff. So if you wanted to go to bed, you press night mode.
Was really
everything
cool.
comes down. Maybe the fan goes on.
Siri integrated. Say hey, "Good morning, Siri," and everything turns on.
And then everything turns on. Like
okay,
the light
so
shades
I must say that's really cool. And then you can make geographic perimeters. So when your phone breaks a certain perimeter, like let's say you get close to your house, your garage automatically opens for you.
And that's really cool too. You can also, with the Themes thing, you can create mood setting music. So you have a girl over or something like that. Bow, 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 bow. All the lights go down.
That was Steve Jobs' original vision was to help guys get laid.
There you go. Hey, he was a programmer, wasn't he?
I mean,
hey, you know what? You're trying to help that out.
Nerds are taking over the world.
All right, and then we get to the phone voicemail transcriptions. Really cool. And then you get to the newest thing, which is the messaging.
Okay, messaging. This is a whole doozy by itself.
Can of worms. We're gonna try to wrap it all up quickly, but the messaging, what you can do. I don't even know how to explain the messaging. Explain it.
Okay, so I'm on the fence about messaging because they introduced a cluster of just new features, including Scribble was one of them.
Scribble is really cool, and actually that was one of the things actually that I'm like, why haven't they had this a lot sooner?
Right.
Because I've always wanted to. I loved back in the day when you got like your little notebook or whatever it was, and then you write on it, and then it automatically translated it into a.
That's
and
cool.
I was wondering why they hadn't done that in such a long time. This is one of the things I'm like, dude, this is old technology that you just now incorporated. I'm so glad you have it now because I love writing on my phone and having it translated to text.
They've made emojis 3 times bigger.
Emojis 3 times bigger.
They have now animated text. So if you want to say something loud, then the text becomes loud and shrinks back down to normal.
Yeah,
if you want to say
visually,
something quietly,
it gets bigger and then smaller.
If you want to say something quietly, it starts out small and says like, "I'm sorry," and then it gets back to it blows up back up. And they also have now animation. So if you want to say something like happy birthday, you could do a balloon animation all over your phone, and you could say a fireworks animation all over your phone.
And it actually takes up the entirety of the phone too. So when you when you add the fireworks, it'll take up the entirety of the phone and shoot fireworks off everywhere inside the phone as long as you're inside the messaging app, which is really cool. But I could see getting really annoying because I have a sister who loves to group chat all of us, and she loves to send her pictures
and
emojis and GIFs and all these different things. GIFs, whatever, all these different things, and it just kind of is a lot of noise visually, and then so now with the added of all this, it's just going to be a ton of noise.
The feature of the invisible,
it's going to be verbal. It's going to be visual vomit. Is kind of the term that I'm thinking
and then the feature of the invisible ink, where you got to.
I actually thought that was really cool.
It's cool.
Invisible
ink, going to take super advantage of that.
You swipe on it, and then it reveals the message. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really cool too. I don't know. What do you think? There's so much stuff to messages.
Yeah, there's
now.
a ton there. Also, as another keynote, they opened up messaging apps to developers. So now you can, as a developer, you can go ahead and develop messaging apps. I
was waiting
apps,
to change like the color of your bubbles that you get, or add a background picture, because you have all these really cool things on a plain white screen, right? And I'm sure there's ways to change that if you jailbreak your phone or whatever, but. Yeah. There's just, I thought adding like custom pictures to the backgrounds of certain like contacts, and those were, that was your thing.
Oh, you know what?
We're in a fantasy football league, and we have a contact. Why not put like a football background on the back of the thing? So I just think.
Well, you happen to be talking to an iOS developer, and they just opened up messaging to the developers. So I can go ahead and create an app for you that will go ahead and do that. Okay, so don't steal my idea.
That's perfect.
This is copyrighted TM.
Well, we'll just cut that part of the video out.
Yeah, perfect. The next thing that they talked about after the messaging, one really cool thing after being in an office environment, one of the biggest things is having to collect everybody what the hell they want to order for food. And it's always a process. You go around, you have a piece of paper, you write down what you want and where you're going, and then give it to somebody else, and then give it to somebody else, and then you write down the prices, and then you go, and then you come back, and then you divvy up all the prices. But now they have an app that will go ahead and it's a group messaging app. As long as you're in the same text messages, you can go ahead and have everybody go to a restaurant on the phone and then click what you want and add it to the cart. And that's actually really cool. Like, honestly, that's cool. Actually really
And they added hyperlinks, so now when I send you guys links up to something, it'll give you the it'll give you the picture and the video, whatever, with it, so it's not just the link, so you know what you're clicking on. Again, really, really cool updates. I just feel like messages in particular, it's now not. The thing about Apple is that it's become so user-friendly, right? Yeah. And it's easy to jump in. It's now not that easy to jump in. There's so much. A new Apple user, it's going to be, like you said, visual vomit for the iOS.
One of the things they finished on was privacy. They wanted to reinforce in everybody that, hey, we know that we're taking over a lot of your stuff, and it's very private, very secure.
Court procedures that they're going through.
And so they really hammered in the privacy that they're really, but
end-to-end encryption was the big term we got today.
Yeah, the end-to-end encryption. So it's encrypted from the very beginning to the very
end. And privacy is important in all that. Absolutely. Well, they made sure they hammered home that you guys, your information is safe.
These are the guys that are developing. These are the guys. So if they really wanted to take stuff, they could take stuff. If you're using their product. Ultimately, they can do what they want with it. When you have Privacy your Mac, Act. and this is in case you guys didn't know this already. When you have your Mac or any machine, you don't actually own the software. They lease you the operating system. You don't own their operating system. That's very different from Microsoft and Windows. When you buy their Windows machine, you own their operating system. But for a Mac, they have the right to pull that operating system away from you. So you're leasing stuff from them. Right. I don't know, privacy. Okay. The last thing that there is Swift. They introduced Swift Playgrounds.
Coding for children.
Coding for children. And honestly, as a developer, I kind of wish I would have had that when I was younger, because it looked like it made it really cool, really easy to understand.
I would get into coding now, like looking at that and saying like, okay, this is how I code and I can make a game out of this. And, that's actually really, really cool. Because I've watched you do coding on the computer and everything, and it looks really complicated. It looks really intricate. But, if I do this and I play this enough, I get to level 20, I could be a good coder.
I'll just go ahead and tell you, when it comes to coding, it's all about concept in the mind. When you're writing the syntax, semicolon here, exclamation point here, blah blah blah. That's just details. The biggest thing is to get through the way to think like a programmer, the way to think like a computer does, and that's what I think Swift Playgrounds is actually going to be able to do really well. Right. It's going to show people concept A to B to C. It's very rational. It's very
Swift is a very user-friendly coding.
Yeah, it is.
As language,
far as
the
other ones,
it's
I learned
very
with
user-friendly.
C++, and then jumped into HTML, and currently I'm using Ruby. Ruby's actually pretty easy too. And then Objective C is a little bit more complicated than Swift is. But Swift is actually fairly easy, and it's honestly it's all conceptual.
It's coding for dummies.
Pretty much what it is.
Okay, so out of everything, watchOS, tvOS, macOS, iOS. What won? What didn't win?
What won? I really enjoyed the iOS Photos feature. To be honest, I'm really excited to see a collage of all my photos and videos and see what it does with it, because you can select short, medium, long, video, epic, whatever. You can just have different stuff. So I'm actually really excited for that part.
I think my favorite feature today was Siri on the Mac. I think that was that's what did it for me, and that's what made me love this thing. The other thing I was gonna say about the lock screen, the thing I was negative about is, I feel like you can do too much from your lock screen now. Can anyone pick up your phone and do all that stuff?
Absolutely. What's the point of having a lock screen if you can do everything from your lock screen?
Like they're saying like, oh, you can reply to messages in your lock screen. Well, what if I don't? The point of my lock screen is so no one could get into my stuff.
Exactly.
So I understand that that's all on a personal thing, and you could probably customize that so like people not using it. But still, too much activity on the lock screen. I mean, I like it. It's good, but All
right, what was the loser?
I didn't really care about tvOS, any of those things. I didn't really care about any of those.
Okay, for me, the loser was definitely Apple Music.
Yeah,
Apple Music started off a loser and it ended a loser today.
I mean, if I want to be specific about tvOS, maybe, even though I think it's a good idea, dark mode, like that's like cool. But it's not really,
Oh, cool. That's just another thing.
I feel like it's just a few lines of code to get that to go through.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much everything that we have.
Yeah, guys, this fall is when you guys can download all this stuff, the watchOS, the tvOS, the macOS, the iOS, usually they have another keynote in the fall, which will, talk about the new iPhone, iPhone 7. They're
kind of the more hardware stuff.
All the hardware stuff, for the most part, even though usually you do get some hardware stuff. But today was all software stuff. So,
and as if you guys are developers, obviously, as always, you can apply for the developers kit, and you can get that downloaded a little bit earlier than anybody else could.
And also, they have the beta program over the fall, so you can beta test.
Yeah, it's coming. I don't think the beta is going on right now. I think
it's you can sign up for it now, and you'll get it when it's released. But you guys, if you like this video, please comment on it, like this video, tell us what you liked about the keynote today. What was the big takeaways? And if you guys are excited about all the new enhancements that are coming to all the different operating systems.
And tell us if you think we're wrong about what we're excited for and what we're not excited for.
Yeah. We're usually not wrong.
This was our first video of this kind.
Yeah.
We intend to cover some E3 as well. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you check out our other videos. Click subscribe, comment. We have our... I'll take it away. I'm burnt right now.
Are you?
I'm tired.
I mean, it's pretty late.
I'm tired.
It's almost midnight here.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we went ahead and I had a full day of work today. But anyway.
All right, guys. As always, this is Kyle.
And that's my line. As always, this is Michael.
This is Kyle.
And this is the critique on the universe of technology.
Later.